Wait.
I think the Doppler effect is like a chain of genetics.
Isn't that the one with time?
I honestly have no idea.
It sounds like doppelganger, which is like the same person who that looks like. So
The Doppler effect is a type of soup. That's all it is. Is this something to do with stars?
I think the Doppler effect is something to do with psychology.
I'm not sure.
Okay, so isn't it when like an ambulance is passing you and it gets really loud when it's right next to you, but then gets softer as it goes away?
Technically, yes, but in the correct terms, the Doppler effect is the change in frequency or wavelength of a wave for an observer moving relative to its source. This is the equation for the Doppler effect. The frequency perceived by a detector is equal to the velocity of the detector relative to the velocity of the wave, divided by the velocity of the source relative to the velocity of the wave, multiplied by the wave's frequency. Vd equals the velocity of the detector, while Vs is the velocity of the sound's source. Fd is a frequency received by the detector. Fs is the frequency of the wave emitted by the source.
This is the equation for the observed light frequency. The observed light frequency of light from a source is equal to the actual frequency of the light generated by the source times the quantity 1 plus the relative speed along the axis between the source and the observer if they are moving towards each other, or minus the relative speed if they are moving away from each other. The difference between the observed wavelength of light and the actual wavelength of light generated by a source is equal to the actual wavelength of light generated by the source times the relative speed of the source and observer divided by the speed of light. This quantity is positive if they are moving away from each other, or negative if they are moving towards each other. Fun fact, researchers can determine how astronomical objects such as galaxies are moving relative to Earth by observing the Doppler shift of light. This is done by observing the spectrum of light coming from the stars in the galaxy using a spectrometer.
Positive change in wavelength means that the light is redshifted. This occurs when the relative velocity of the source is in a direction away from the observer. A negative change in wavelength means that the light is blue shifted. This occurs when the relative velocity of the source is in a direction toward the observer. Now, after watching this short video, I hope you have a better concept of what the Doppler effect is.
So Chandler, do you now understand the Doppler effect?
I do fully understand the Doppler effect. Thank you, Peyton and Allie.